If you're looking for an ultra wide, ultra deep aero gravel wheel set, but you don't want to spend 4 grand on ENVE G SES Pro, I might have an alternative for you. There's no doubt where this package came from. Oh. This is the WRMC64 from BTLOS, or BTLOS. A few weeks ago I had never even heard of this brand, but I think this could be a serious contender in the ultra-wide gravel wheel market. 32mm internal width still looks wrong to me. Also, my brain tells me that such a massive wheel shouldn't be that light. So what is BTLOS and why did I buy this exact wheel set? According to their website, they are a Chinese OEM that launched their own direct-to-consumer business a few years ago. And in the tradition of Chinese cycling brands, they chose a ridiculous name, beyond the limits of self, BTLOS. But unlike other niche brands where you can only order via email, they actually have a pretty good online configurator. The website is a pleasant experience compared to other wheel manufacturers, and some questions I had were answered almost immediately via email, so thumbs up for that. The gravel wheels are hidden in the Monster Cross/e-bike category. I'm not sure what Monster Cross is, but it sounds fun and a little dangerous. Here we have the WRMC and WRML options. The W stands for wheel set and the C and L stand for clincher and hookless respectively. The R and M, I have no idea. There's also the Atlas Pro variant. The standout feature here is the so-called fiber continuous spoke hole design, meaning the spoke holes are molded into the rim rather than drilled. I think this is a pretty cool technology because drilling into composites is always a little sketchy. By molding the holes instead, you can eliminate reinforcement layers and save weight. Other brands do this as well, check out ENVE's patent for example. Unfortunately, the Atlas Pro top out at 54mm depth and I wanted the deepest wheels available, which are the WRMC64. The base version starts at under 700 euros, which is an insane bargain. But I got carried away in the configurator and went with BTLOS' own double lock hub and carbon spokes, which brought the price up to almost 1300 euros. Whoopsie. That's quite an investment for a completely unknown Chinese brand, but here we are. It took 2 weeks from order to shipping and another 2 weeks to reach my door, so up until now everything has gone flawlessly. But are they any good? When I first opened the box, I was afraid they had sent the wrong wheels because they look pretty hookless to me. If you look really closely you can see a tiny groove, but that's not exactly a hook, right? So I sent a photo to BTLOS and they confirmed that I'm actually looking at the correct clincher wheels, which brought up the question, how much hook is enough to qualify as a hooked rim? I found the answer in ISO 5775-2. What we know as hooked rims are technically called tubeless crotchet type rims, and to qualify as such there needs to be a hook of at least 0.5mm. This is exactly the hook dimension ENVE uses for their SES Pro road wheels for example. These are called mini hooks in the media, but the ISO standard makes no such distinction. A hook is a hook if it's at least 0.5mm. ENVE says mini hooks allow them to use more precise hard tooling instead of soft tooling that needs to be extracted from the mold. They also claim that this design is more aerodynamic and offers lower rolling resistance. But maybe these are just marketing claims and they do it because the tooling is much less complex and cheaper. All I know is that this is actually a hooked rim by definition, and with the low pressures in modern gravel tires I don't have any safety concerns. But I'm also intrigued to test these wheels with one of these. That would be completely out of specification, so subscribe if you want to see me risking my life for marginal gains in a future video. Let's go over the other specs. The name WRMC64 suggests they are 64mm deep, but they are actually closer to 65mm. That's pretty rare in the ultra-wide market, where most other wheels top out at around 55mm. Internal width should be 32mm, but measures a little over, and external should be 38, but is almost 39. This makes me question my calipers, but they seem to be okay. By simple math, this gives us a flange or sidewall of 3mm, which is on the narrower side. This makes it impossible to mount a tire that measures narrower than the rim while still conforming to ETRTO standards. If you are a believer in the 105% rule, which I'm not, this is definitely not the wheel for you. For comparison, the hookless ENVE G SES Pro wheels are listed with a 3.8mm sidewall. Oh, and I also asked BTLOS to add drain holes since that's not an option in the configurator. And they did. Now it's time for these wheels to shine. 632 grams for the front and 722 grams for the rear make for a total of just 1354 grams. This is ever so slightly above the weight from the configurator, but still absolutely incredible for a wheel of this size. That's 100 grams lighter than the ENVE G Pros, which go for 3 times the price. The Gravel Expert 20 Pro hub is an interesting one. They call it double lock, meaning the spokes are threaded both into the rim and the hub. You can see this here on the included spare spokes. This makes it a captive hub, so the spokes can't come loose if they break or something else goes terribly wrong. Peak Torque would love this. The bearings are ceramic, which I'm not a fan of. They will probably die from pitting like they did in all my other wheels and then be replaced by steel ones. I've got the default 36 tooth ratchet, but there's also a 45 tooth option. It's got very little grease in it, so we can expect an obnoxious sound. Both wheels feature 20 spokes in a symmetrical pattern, so 10 interlaced spokes on each side. This should make for a very torsionally stiff wheel because both sides can transfer braking and drivetrain loads. The downside to this design is that the inner spokes have to pull at a steeper angle to counter lateral forces. If you use radial lacing on one side, that angle improves because all these spokes can attach further out. Plus, with radial lacing on the front wheel's non-disc side, the hub doesn't carry torsional loads from braking, so it can be lighter, at least in theory. Spoke patterns are a science in themselves, and I'm not going to judge which one is best. I can only assume that making a radially laced hub for double lock spokes would result in a very awkward design. Feel free to comment if you see any issues here. To me, this looks absolutely solid. The wheels came with a certificate of approval claiming the roundness and flatness are roughly within a tenth of a millimeter. I'm going to double check that with the highly scientific zip tie method. Looks round to me. You can get these wheels without spoke holes in some configurations, but not with carbon spokes. You can also order them with rim tape and valves for a very reasonable price, but for the purpose of this review I've decided against that, so let's tape them first. I'm using TESA 4289 in 35mm because it's cheap, and to make sure it really sticks I'm cleaning everything first with isopropyl. I also read that pressing the tape down with a tube helps, so let's do that as well. This is a 44mm 2/4 Thundero, the same exact tire that I'm currently running on my 27mm internal Yoleos, where it stretches to almost 46mm. On the BTLOS, it stretches to 47.5mm. It's actually not as wide as I expected and makes for a really nice rim to tire transition. I was certain that this combination would not fit in my GR1 frame, but look at that! Probably perfectly fine on a dry day. But I only have one of these right now and I think we can go even more aero. Fortunately, a teammate donated a pair of Pirelli Cinturato Gravel H, because apparently no serious gravel racer has any use for 40mm tires anymore. By the way, pressing down the rim tape with a tube worked beautifully, look at that. Now let's mount those Pirellis the correct way, which is of course tubeless. So the Cinturato measures 43 point something and look at that transition. If that's not aero, I don't know what is. To finish it off, I've got Galfa wave rotors and another €200 cassette to exactly match my other wheel set. Now let's see if it's as fast as it looks. As soon as I got on the bike, I felt something was off. Turns out the tires are actually not identical. The front one is a 45 that inflates to 50 millimeters, so I accidentally joined the reverse mullet trend. So this is not the ultimate aero setup that I was looking for, but I'm going to give you my first ride impressions anyway. First thing you notice, it is loud. A little too loud for my taste. Second thing, it is fast, which is probably mostly due to the tires, but this rolls almost like a road bike. So if you're looking for all-road setup, this is your bike. Now I'm not going to pretend that I can feel the performance of a wheel set. I believe in proper testing, and that will come in a future video. What I can say is that the versatility of this setup is incredible. On tarmac you are riding close to road bike speeds, but if you want to, you have all the gravel capabilities. Right now, I cannot think of a better setup for my home roads. At this point, other channels would probably tell you that they accelerate so quickly, hold their speed or dampen road buzz. But if someone claims that they can feel 5 watts of aero drag or micro vibrations through a 50mm tire, they are just making stuff up. So instead, I'm sticking to what I can actually evaluate. And that is that even with 100 kilos of system weight, hard sprints, hard braking, there's no whirring, no brake resonance, no creaking, and that gives me great confidence in the structural integrity of these wheels. The only sound is a distinctive whoosh, likely the result of the carbon spokes and the massive internal rim volume acting as a sound box. And sure, they feel fast, but so does every other wheelset with fast tires on it. What makes these special is the combination of a wide rim that gives a nice tire transition, only 20 bladed aero spokes and 65mm of depth, so we have all the latest aero features in just one wheel. This combination is pretty unique right now and honestly ahead of its time. The big brands will probably release something similar very soon. That's it for this video. I'm already working on an aero test to prove whether these wheels really are the future. And if they are not, at least they are looking lightning fast. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.